Hey guys, welcome back to the RMX250 build series. If you've been following along with this series since the start, you'll know that I started with a very well-used farm bike and I've turned it into this RM250 inspired road legal motocross bike that you see behind me. The bike was visually complete in episode 7, but then the engine was fully rebuilt in the following 3 episodes after discovering I had a main bearing failure on the dyno. I've now learned my lesson and to be more thorough when inspecting the engine, as it turned what was supposed to be a budget build into much more. So I'll show you guys the bike now. Now that I've got the bike back in the garage, I can talk about a few things that have changed since the bike was last assembled in episode 7, aside from the engine being completely rebuilt. One of the main things that changed was I switched my carburetor. The carburetor that was in here was a Chinese copy of a Kian PWK Air Striker. And once the engine was rebuilt and I sent the bike back to the dyno tuner basically told me this wasn't working. All the ports inside were like the wrong size and he had a lot of trouble tuning it. So I know a lot of people on the Facebook page and forums have a lot of luck with these and say that they're great. So I thought I might have just got a dud. So I bought another one off eBay, different seller, but I'm assuming they're all coming from the same factory. And that's in this box. And sent it off to the dyno again, and the dyno tuner said this one was worse. So I gave up on that and bought a genuine Mikuni TM38, I believe it's called, carburetor, and then sent it back to the dyno for the 3rd time, and everything went well. The tune worked great. Bike starts like first kick with a choke on when it's cold, and then once it's warm, starts first kick every time after that. Really crisp, lots of power. He actually said the bike made 31.5 horsepower on the dyno with the knobby tire, and he said in his experience the knobby tire on the dyno kind of kills about 5 to 7 horsepower, so almost probably 38 horsepower this engine makes, which is really impressive, and it does feel very powerful compared to bikes I've ridden in the past, and super fun to ride on the road. Once the dyno tuning and roadworthy was done at the mechanics, I took it to get registered, and the only thing I've changed since actually having it registered was I put on some smaller indicators that are a lot less ugly, and these are the ones that were on it that I needed for the roadworthy, just stick out a lot further, and I had to have them basically on extensions at the back just so they would be the minimum width apart, which I think was like 280 millimeters. A few other things that I had to do to pass roadworthy that I have then removed is a chain guard. You can see I just drilled a little hole in the swing arm and tapped it for like an M5 bolt. And I just had like a temporary chain guard there. And I also had to reinstall the kickstand kill switch, but I've obviously since then removed it now that I'm riding it. In the downtime, I actually got inspired and extended the kickstand 45 millimeters because I didn't like the way that when this thing was on the stand, it leant over like super far. So I actually welded in a piece, and the bike sits way better when it's on its stand now. In the process of getting it roadworthy, I changed the front brake line because the original front brake line that I was using was basically just worn out. When you would hit the brake, it would swell and it didn't have much braking power. So I actually swapped it out for this CRF 450X front brake line, and that fit well. I just had to look at photos of the CRF master cylinder on the CRF-X because if you remember, this is actually a CRF 250R master cylinder. So they weren't too different, which is why this brake line worked quite well. For anyone interested in what the jetting specs are, the pilot is 15, the main is 380, and the needle is the center clip. And I'm 1.5 turns out on the air screw. This hydroblasted finish on this engine just like stands out so much. It just looks brand new, better than what it would look like from the factory. And I'm really glad I did that when I had the engine apart. Overall, I'm super happy with how this build turned out. Let me know what you guys think this total build cost me in the comments below, and I'll pin the first comment to get it right, remembering that I started with a $750 farm bike, and I'll put a photo up of that now just so you can get a before and after. As always, thanks for watching, and if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing so that when I start my next build, which is hopefully soon, you'll be notified, and I'll see you in the next video.